All right, everybody, and welcome to Watch Me Go Broke. Now, today's video is a head-to-head of the San Martin SN004G and the Laurier Neptune Generation 3. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I had several people ask me in video comments and on Instagram if I thought or if I liked the San Martin as much as the Laurier Neptune, or what I thought comparatively. So I decided to do this video because I wanted to see, is it really worth spending the extra money for the Laurier when you could possibly get a really good value out of the San Martin. So that's basically what I'm doing today. And on my wrist today is going to be a watch that I kind of cobbled together many weeks ago. I put it on this Uncle Seiko bracelet, flat link bracelet that's going to come into play a little bit later in the video. So stay tuned there for that. So let's start with this head-to-head. Now I've got 10 categories here today. I've got case, crystal, bezel action, so I split those two. The movements, the bracelet, the clasp is going to be separate from the bracelet. The dial, hands, and of course the lume on both of these watches. So let's get started. The head-to-head, we will start with the Laurier Neptune Generation 3. So the first category is going to be case. So I'm going to take a look at the case on both of these watches, and I'm going to include the crown as part of the case and how it integrates with the operation of the case. Let me get them fingerprints off there. So the case on the Laurier Neptune, really good. I like the thinness of the case. It's a little bit thinner than the San Martin watch. You've got drilled lugs, which is pretty much a must for me on a watch today. Very nice finishing, mostly brushed. And then you have a chamfered edge going along the sides of the case, brushing on the tops of the lugs. I think the shape of this case, it obviously is hearkening back to the old Omega Seamasters from the 1960s. So I think that's really, really neat. Overall, this case and case shape and the thinness, really good. And the crown, a big crown here. So that's going to be hearkening back to the old big crown Submariners back in the day. The crown integrates with the case very nicely. This is really a pleasure to thread and unthread. It really, really works very, very nicely with the case. I have no complaints there. Screw down case back, really nice looking. Love the downturn of the lugs. Overall, I think this case is going to get a 9 from me. And the San Martin case is also really, really well done here. Both of these watches are 38 mil, which I think is really cool. A really great sweet spot there. Again, mostly brushed on the sides, brushed on the top of the lugs, and there also is a chamfered edge that goes along the sides of the case. Now, the crown for this one, it works okay. I think the crown for this watch is a little bit undersized. As you can see, my thumb was scraping against the bezel. So that is not something that I really, really like. And threading it back down is actually a little bit difficult here because of the size of the crown. So I wish they had gone with a little bit thicker crown. It didn't have to really be a big crown, but yeah, your thumb will scrape against that side there, and this knurling on the crown is a little bit rough or a little bit sharp. So yeah, I think there could be some refinements done there. But overall, I think the case is really good. Downturned lugs again, not drilled lugs, which I would have really loved to see to help out on the strap changes with this watch. And of course, the case back is your traditional sub-style case back, so nothing to write home about there. But overall, I think this case is really, really good. Does it beat the Laurier? And I'm going to say no, but it is great, and I'm going to give it an 8. So we are going to stick with the San Martin for the second category, and this is crystals. This is going to be a sapphire crystal on the San Martin today. It is kind of a boxed domed, well, yeah, boxed dome, I don't know. Anyway, it raises up from the bezel, and it gives a nice little distortion there. A distortion that you would traditionally see with an acrylic crystal, but they were able to do it with this sapphire crystal. So again, sapphire, pretty much unbeatable. It's going to get a 10. And the crystal on the Laurier is going to be plexiglass. It is a domed plexiglass crystal. It does sit very proudly above the bezel. Again, wonderful distortion there that you traditionally get with a plexiglass or an acrylic crystal. Yeah, you're going to see scratches on this. They can be polywatched out very easily. I have polywatched this watch one time. It looks brand new again. It's a design choice that Laurier made to kind of stick with the vintage vibe, and I think it's really, really wonderful, but as far as longevity goes, it just can't beat sapphire. So I'm going to give it a 9. And we are going to stick with the Laurier for the third category today, and this is bezel, and this is not going to include bezel action, just the design of the bezel here. So beautiful coin-edged bezel. It is an aluminum insert, which I think really gives it you know, a really great vintage vibe. The printing on the bezel is absolutely excellent. This is really one of my favorite bezel designs on any watch. I think it looks fantastic. The Lume pip, or I guess it's not a pip, it's just kind of a printed Lume marker there. Really, really well done. Overall, I think this the thinness of this bezel, and of course the coin edge, it's really, really, really top notch. So it gets a 10 from me. It is my favorite bezel on any watch. And the bezel on the San Martin, it is going to be ceramic today, if I got that correctly. It is, I wouldn't call that coin edge. I'm not sure what I would call that, but very, very nice. We'll call it knurling. Very grippable, no problems there. Like I said, ceramic insert. It does have faux lume, which I'm not sure why that choice was made. It doesn't match the indices. It actually matches the chapter ring, so that was an interesting choice there. And of course, let me zoom in here on the Lume pip. The Lume pip, really one of my favorite Lume pips on any watch. It sort of sits down a little bit, so I don't think you're going to be hacking that off. Beautiful color that does actually match the indices. So yeah, it's a really great effort. Not a huge fan of the faux lume on this, so for that reason, I am going to give it an 8. And we are going to stick with the San Martin for the fourth category of bezel action. So let's give her a crank. Very nice action on this San Martin. It is a plasticky type sound. It's not a metal sound. It's a very sharp, plasticky type click. No backplay whatsoever. Really good effort there from San Martin. I think their bezels are really, really, really great. Everything lines up as it should. I think it's a really good bezel. I'm going to give it a 9. That's kind of hard to beat there. Well, if there is a watch that could beat that San Martin bezel, it is definitely this Laurier Neptune Gen 3. So let's give her a crank. Yeah, just superb action on this. Superb. No backplay whatsoever. It's very easy to operate. Easy to operate when it's on your wrist. When it's off your wrist, just gorgeous. It is a kind of a high-pitched metal sounding click. Which is really neat. So you kind of get this feeling of quality when you're turning it. And yeah, of course, this watch won my first annual Bezel crank-off. So really hard to beat. And does it beat the San Martin? You bet it does. It gets a 10. So the next category is movement. So powering this Laurier Neptune Gen 3 is going to be the Miyota 90S5. This is about a $100 movement if you're going to buy it yourself. It's the no-date version of the 9015. So if you do have to replace it, it probably is easier to find the 9015, but that would have a date function in there. So you know, everything's really good. This only has two positions. So you have the winding position. It does beat at 28,800 vibrations per hour. So you're going to get a smoother sweep than you would with, say, the movement that's in the San Martin. And then, of course, one position out there, and you're going to hack. So hack, hand wind, 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is a really good movement. But again, with Miyota movements, you're going to get this sound. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see if I can do it here. Yeah, so you're going to get that rotor continuing to spin after winding. It does vibrate the watch a little bit. It's certainly not something that is a major annoyance, but I think that that kind of will hurt it a little bit. You can hear the rotor spinning. All in all, I'm going to give this movement an 8. So the movement on the San Martin is going to be the NH35A movement. It does beat at 21,600 vibrations per hour. So a little bit of a slower beat rate there. This watch does have a ghost date because this isn't a date watch, but there is a ghost date position there. Ghost date. That reminds me of one of my favorite sitcoms from the 80s. Fridays this fall, Ghost Date starring Michael J. Fox. He swears she's real, she swears he'll squeal. Ghost Date, Fridays at 8, 7 Central on ABC. So yeah, you do have the Ghost Date. This watch does hack and hand wind. The hacking, obviously, really good there. It is the movement you're going to find in a number of micro brands. Let me get it back to the 1010 there. All in all, this movement is about $40 if you're going to buy it. So servicing this watch over time, it's not even really worth servicing. It's kind of a throwaway movement and replacement. So you're only going to spend about $40 every, gosh, maybe 10 years when this craps out on you. So that's going to keep this watch going for a long time at a very, very minimal cost. And so, yes, this doesn't have as high of a beat rate, and it does have a ghost date, but I think the frugality of this particular movement does kind of level it up with the little bit higher quality Miyota 90 S5. And for that reason, I'm going to keep this a tie at an 8. So sticking with the San Martin for the bracelet. This bracelet, really well done. 20 mil lug width there. It is a faux rivet style bracelet. I'm not going to knock this bracelet on the difficulty that it took to size this bracelet. If you want to know more about that, watch my review of this watch. But I think it's really well done. This is a 3-link style bracelet. Yeah, it's all in all, nice taper there, good quality. Really haven't had any trouble with it at all. I think it's really good. I'm going to give it an 8. So the bracelet on the Laurier, like I've said many times in many videos, this is probably my favorite bracelet on any watch. It is a flat link style bracelet like you would see on an old Omega Speedmaster, and that's why I have this watch here on today, because it also has a flat link style bracelet. And this flat link style bracelet is more along the lines of what you'd find on a vintage watch, more true to that. So this is sort of an upgrade that Laurier did. A little bit more substantial links, screw pins, a ton of adjustment links that you can do, a little bit thicker, a little bit higher quality. It's going to last a bit longer than this will. What's this one will? I don't know. Gosh, I can't talk today at all. It's going to last longer than this faux style. It's going to last, good Lord, I'm an idiot. Anyway, it's really good. I'm going to give it a 10. And so the next category is Clasp. So on this Laurier, nice little Laurier logo etched in the back. It is a double pusher, a milled clasp. Well done. It's very small. It's non-intrusive. 3 micro adjustments. That was a change that they made on the Neptune Generation 3. The micro adjustments are very small. They're very tight together. I would have almost liked to see this bracelet extended maybe, 3 or 4 millimeters and add an extra micro adjustment in there. But it does function well. I think it's a well-done clasp. It's very elegant. And I'm going to give it an 8. And the clasp on the San Martin, also very well done. San Martin logo etched in the back. I am not a fan of that logo. I don't think it fits with anything that they do with their watches. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. It's the one that they've chosen, and so I do support it. Again, double pushers, milled clasp, well done milled clasp, 4 micro adjustments. So you're going to get a little bit more of an adjustment with this clasp than you would on the Laurier. And for that reason, I'm going to give this clasp a 9. So the next category is dial. I think this dial is really well done on the San Martin. It is not black, it's more of a dark gray color, which I think is cool because you kind of get that black fading over time if you did have a vintage watch, so it wouldn't be quite as dark black, say 40 years from the time you bought it. All printed indices that are filled with Lume. I believe it's, I think it's C3. I'm not certain exactly, but we'll go over that in the Lume here. But yeah, all printed. I think the printing is very crisp. That San Martin logo looks really, really good in that cursive style writing. You've got 200 M equals 660 feet. Obviously, that is homaging the old-timey Submariners there. And automatic. I think the dial's really, really well done. Simple, but well done. And I'm going to give it a 8. Well, the dial on the Laurier is really outstanding. Also all printed today, and it is filled with BGW9 Lume, and it's filled pretty thickly, so they do raise up off the dial a little bit, so giving a nice little aesthetic there. It appears like they coated the BGW9 to make it more of a stark white, because BGW9 is actually kind of like an off-white color. So that will come up in the Lume section there. You've got the Laurier logo printed just below the 12 o'clock marker, and just above the 6 o'clock is 200 M equals 660 feet. My only complaint about this dial is that the printing is very small, so it's kind of hard to read if your eyes are going out there, but of course you're just looking at this just to tell the time, and I think it does an excellent job at that. I think, with those very sharp triangles at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 position, it just adds a wonderful look to this watch. And the dial, it's kind of a glossy black dial, not sunburst, but glossy black. Really classy. I think it looks great, and I am going to give it a 9. Second to last category today is the hands. The hands on the Laurier, they are stainless steel hands. They're pretty much homaging what you would find on an Omega watch, like an Aquaterra or something along those lines. Not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. I think the hands are well done. The finishing on the hands is pretty good. There's a generous amount of Lume. They give a nice reflection in the light, as you can see there. Really good looking hands. I really don't have too many complaints. I'm going to give it an 8. And the hands on the San Martin, I'm going to be honest with you, these are the best gilt style hands that I have seen, that I have come across in person. I'm sure there's other watches that have better, but for my money, these are excellent. Gold color, it's very, very well finished on the hands. I love that oversized lollipop, which really, I think, stands out wonderful on this watch. They are, Mercedes style hands that you would find on a traditional sub, but they are a bit bigger, I think, than you would have found on like a sub from the 60s. But the hands really outstanding, and it really is probably my favorite thing about this watch. So the hands are going to get a 10. So the final category is Lume. The Lume on the San Martin, which is on the right here, is really outstanding. It's I think it's C3. I'm not sure. I gotta look that up. But anyway, it's very bright, very vibrant. I think it works extremely well, and it's very attractive. The Lume pip works well. You're not going to have any problems seeing this in the dark. It's very bright. I think it's a really solid effort from the San Martin. So that is going to actually get a 9 as far as Lume for me. And the Laurier Neptune, this is really the downfall of this watch. It's BGW9. I don't know if the coating that they did, or if they did a coating to kind of make those indices white, kind of hurt the brightness of the BGW9. So it doesn't really last the way it should, in my opinion. This is really the worst part about the watch. Yeah, it still looks good and it still does the job, but does it beat the San Martin? It does not. It is going to get a 7. So the final score, the San Martin comes in with an 87, and the Laurier Neptune Generation 3 comes in with an 88, which is way closer than I thought this would be. I thought the Laurier would really knock this out of the water, but I think you have some modern things that are done to this watch with the ceramic bezel, the sapphire crystal, the ability to replace the movement very easily. I think, that kind of raised it up a little bit. And so I think that I'm comfortable saying that if you don't want to spend the money for the Laurier Neptune Gen 3, I think you can be just as happy with this San Martin. I think the quality's there. I think everything is on the up and up. Of course, this watch is going to look exactly the same as the day you bought it, probably 20 years from now. Not the case with the Laurier. This bezel insert is going to scratch up. Of course, you're going to scratch the crystal. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great effort. The Laurier, special place in my heart. I think it's just about the perfect watch. But this is really, really good, really, really close, and just about half the price. So I think if you had to choose and you really weren't wanting to spend money on the Laurier, I think you could be very happy with this San Martin. So that's all I have today, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have these watches, if a lot of people have both, what you think. If you think maybe this beats the Laurier, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys, and I will see you next time.